Viewers, we all know in India that it was Pakistan that gave refuge to 9/11 plotter Osama bin Laden. We know that it is Pakistan that gave refuge to the murderer of Daniel Pearl, the Wall Street Journal journalist, and that is, of course, Omar Sheikh. We also know that Pakistan has long shielded those who attacked people in various terror attacks, not just here in India, but even those foreign nationals who lost their lives in different attacks, including in 26/11. But is President Trump unable to see this is the question that's being asked. Why are we asking you this? Because a top US Army officer actually went on to call Pakistan a phenomenal partner to the US. Would you believe it? And that's not all. He actually says there are a phenomenal ally against terror, as it's Pakistan that's going after ISIS terrorists, almost completely oblivious of the manner in which Pakistan has shielded and perpetrated terror for decades. Is this the stand of the American government? Sample this.
Through a relationship we have with them, providing intelligence, they have captured at least 5 ISIS Khorasan high-value individuals. And I would also tell you that, since 2024, the beginning, Pakistan had over 1,000 terrorist attacks in the western area, killing about 700 security and civilians and 2,500 wounded. They're in an active counterterrorism fight right now, and they have been a phenomenal partner in the counterterrorism world.
And what's more, there's a breaking update coming in that Pakistan Army Chief Munir is going to be part of the US Army Day on the 14th of June. That's the information coming in at this point of time, once again raising questions of what exactly is going on between the United States and Pakistan.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Let me introduce our panelists joining us. We have Lieutenant General KJS Dhillon, former GOC 15 corps, joining us live. We have Brahma Chalani, strategic affairs expert with us. Jonah Blanc is author and foreign policy expert, also joining us on the show. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. Lieutenant General Dhillon, let me begin with you. What's happening? Because, over the past 24 hours, we see the senior general come out and actually praise Pakistan as a phenomenal partner in cracking down on terror. Now we are told that, Field Marshal Munir, the army chief, is going to be visiting Pakistan, part of their Army Day. What really is going on? And, is the US really wanting the world to believe that Pakistan is actually cracking down on terror? At least India has not seen any evidence of it in the last 40 years.
Good evening, and good evening to all your viewers and the fellow panelists. These aspects of Pakistan being a phenomenal partner in the counter-terror, being told by the CENTCOM commander, we have to understand this. CENTCOM, the boundary between the CENTCOM and Indo-Pacific, runs along the boundary of India and Pakistan. Pakistan is part of CENTCOM, United States Central Command, and India is part of Indo-Pacific Command. So the CENTCOM commander talking about Pakistan as a frontline state or as a phenomenal partner is understandable, because he is talking from his point of view, because he has to operate in those areas. Whereas the truth is, starting with the days of Hillary Clinton saying the snakes in the backyard, to Osama bin Laden and Daniel Pearl's murderers found in Pakistan, and Pakistan being the central hub of terrorism all across the world, that is not hidden from anyone. But point here is, if you see the geostrategic location of Pakistan, there is Arabian Sea and Indian Ocean to the south, and then there is the Strait of Hormuz and the complete Persian Gulf, the complete Middle East oil. Then there is a Shia Iran onto the west, and it's also not friendly to America. Then there is Afghanistan, still the unfinished agenda, onto the north, and then mineral-rich Central Asian Republic to the further north. And onto the east is India, and further is China. Neither India will give any basis to USA, nor will China. So to operate in this area, anywhere around the, that geostrategic location and the neighbors which I've said, USA needs Pakistan. So USA has to cozy up to Pakistan. And from the Pakistan's point of view, after recently concluded or still on Operation Sindoor, when Chinese weapons and Turkish weapons could not withstand the might of Indian military, and their airfields were down within the 3 days. Now, Pakistan has to look at some other alternative options to counter India's military in future. The nearest alternative is USA. So it is mutually convenient for both of them to cozy up to each other. But America very well knows that Pakistan is the fountainhead of terrorism, not only in this part of the world, all across the world, starting with Osama bin Laden and going right up to Pahalgam. So this is the opening comment. But the point is, CENTCOM commanders.
Let me take that question.
Should not be taken too seriously. Because he's just only playing around in his area of responsibility.
Okay. All right, let me take this question across to Jonah Blanc as well. Jonah Blanc, we all know what Trump said when it came to Pakistan in 2018, and his tweet, I think, is still up there, where he said that US had given Pakistan $33 billion and received only lies and defeat. Yet now, Pakistan is called a phenomenal partner because this is really being seen as some kind of either a U-turn or hypocrisy. Of course, it may be the CENTCOM commander, but the fact that you have the Pak Army chief now who's going to participate in a US military function there in the United States is bound to raise some serious questions. Jonah Blanc.
Yes, thank you for having me. The real issue here is not simply what CENTCOM commander has said, but what Donald Trump himself has done, which has been to essentially aid and abet Pakistan's sheltering of Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed, most recently in the aftermath of the Pahalgam attack. Pakistan's motive in supporting terrorist groups like that is to internationalize the Kashmir controversy, which India rightly considers to be a bilateral issue between India and Pakistan. Mr. Trump falsely claimed to have mediated that dispute. That's his term, mediated. And his Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, falsely claimed that India had agreed to negotiations that India never agreed to. Prime Minister Modi slapped both of these things back, just as he had in the past when Trump previously, in his first term, falsely claimed that Modi had asked him to mediate the Kashmir issue. I think Trump just doesn't understand what is going on. He doesn't realize that this is part of Pakistan's strategy.
Absolutely. And in fact, Brahmachalani, when it comes to 9/11, whether it comes to what happened to Daniel Pearl, whether it comes to the US citizens who lost their lives in 26/11, has the United States somewhere forgotten all of that? Or is this ultimately, just the politics of what is expedient, what is practical, that ultimately we're seeing play out?
I would caution against overemphasizing the Trump factor. There is a certain continuity in American foreign policy, continuity between what Biden practiced and what Trump is practicing. For example, the U.S. embrace of the jihadist regime in Damascus. That began with Biden, and it has now been cemented by Trump. It was Biden administration that made clear that was playing the Pakistan card against India. It was Biden who modernized and upgraded Pakistan's F-16 fleet against India, making it more lethal. It was he who initiated the IMF bailout packages for Pakistan. It was the Biden administration that helped Pakistan exit the FATF gray list. Trump is basically continuing with the deep state agenda toward South Asia. And that agenda under successive US presidents has been to use Pakistan as a counterweight against India. So the US policy has been to use India against China and also to use Pakistan against India. That is not Trump's doing. That has been the policy under successive American presidents. The illusions have been on the Indian side, not on the American side. It's Indians who have believed that they have won over the US. It's the Indians who thought that there was a fundamental transformation in the US-India relationship. The Americans never, ever said anything that they're going to choose India over Pakistan. In fact, what the CENTCOM chief has said is exactly what the designated, the nominated U.S. Assistant Secretary for South Asia and Central Asia, Dr. Kapoor, in his Senate hearings, confirmation hearings, he said the U.S. will pursue cooperation and collaboration both with India and with Pakistan. That has been the U.S. policy under successive presidents.
Let me bring in Jonah back on one point. Jonah, what is being stated by Brahma Chelani is also to an extent justified by certain reports that we've seen here in India, that at the time when Trump had claimed that he pushed for mediation between India and Pakistan days after the Pahalgam terror attack, there are reports that have come out that his family holds a 60% stake in World Liberty Financial, which signed a crypto pact with Pakistan's newly formed Crypto Council, backed by Army Chief General Asif Munir. The diplomatic stance, is it perhaps explained by these reports? Does this really give us a sense as to why perhaps there was a shift in stance?
Well, I agree with Brahma that U.S. policy has sought to balance India and Pakistan for a long time. That's very different from what's going on now under Trump, where he genuinely does not understand Indian sensitivities around Kashmir, around false allegations of mediation, things that really are more difficult than he realizes. On that question of Mr. Trump's cryptocurrency, you're absolutely right. We just don't know what kind of corrupt dealings have been going on with Mr. Trump's crypto scheme. This is a completely non-transparent way for anyone in the world to funnel bribes directly into Mr. Trump's pocket. And we don't know where that money is coming from.
And Lieutenant Dillon, the point is this: India has long wanted for Pakistan to just crack down on its terror infrastructure. But far from it, even though we've seen the kind of escalations that we've seen recently, the point that many are making is, why is it that the US is, fighting shy of doing so? Because, does it want to, as they have repeatedly said, want to have this, repeated statements of trying to mediate between the two countries? Does it help them to keep the pot boiling? What really is going on in your view, General Dillon?
See, USA is never going to put any additional pressure on Pakistan just because Pakistan is doing terror acts in India. USA will pressurize Pakistan when the terror from Pakistan gets into the homeland of USA. Till that time, it is going to use Pakistan as a counter against India, as Mr. Brahmacharani just said, as also it's going to use Pakistan as a future basis to do anything in this region or the subcontinent. So to expect USA to fight our battles, I think we are too naive. We have to understand India has to be strong enough to fight its own battle and to give it to Pakistan the way we did it in Sindoor next time if it tries anything like this. So we, as a country which is fourth largest economy, which is biggest democracy, which is 1/6 of the world in population, we should not expect anyone else to come and fight our battles. We should be strong enough and be brave enough to fight our own battles on our terms. So we do not expect Pakistan to be bullied by USA to calm down against India. I think that's not going to happen.
Right. Let me bring in Brahmacharani, though. I totally get what you say in terms of how, these strategic issues are managed. But we just saw recently, perhaps less than 24 hours ago, how the FBI Director Kash Patel wrote, talking about Mohammad Shahzab Khan, a Pakistani national residing in Canada, extradited to the US on charges of attempting to provide material support to ISIS and attempting to commit acts of terrorism. He allegedly planned to travel from Canada to New York, carrying out mass shooting in support of ISIS at a Jewish center in Brooklyn. He allegedly planned his attack to occur on such and such date. The point being made is just this, that there are Pakistan nationals who are plotting terror strikes there in the United States, yet the US refuses to crack down on those terror networks. That, at the end of the day, continues to remain a question. Why would the United States not want to do so, even if it is its own interest?
The US clearly distinguishes between Pakistani terrorism directed at American interests and Pakistani terrorism against India. US policy is concerned about the first, not about the second. This individual that you mentioned, who was extradited from Canada to the US, a Pakistani, he was allegedly involved in plotting a terrorist attack in the US. That's the reason why he was extradited to the US to face trial. The thing is this, that India prematurely halted its military operation after just 3 days. Normally a military operation should be carried out in such a way that its outcome is clear to everyone, that no one doubts the outcome. You don't have to stage road shows to control the narrative. You don't have to claim victory. The outcome should speak for itself. Now, after just 3 days, India halted its military operation. The problem with this...
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Brahmachalani, sorry, I'm completely out of time. I'd like to thank you, Jonah Blank, Brahmachalani, as well as Lieutenant General KJS Dillon. That's all the time we have on the show this evening. Thanks so much for joining us, viewers.